This 3D printer shaked the consumer market when it released on a Kickstarter a few months ago. It promised an affordable tool changer machine with faster multicolor prints and lower filament waste. Did it deliver on its promise? Let's take a look. Hello and welcome back to the channel. As you can see behind me, a new machine has joined my small army of 3D printers. And it's the Snapmaker U1, the very popular new kit on the block. I was one of the first backers of the Kickstarter campaign for this machine, and just recently I finally received my unit as an early Christmas gift. In this video I'll go through the unpacking and setup of the U1, talk about some issues I encountered, we'll look at some multicolor 3D prints that came out of the machine, also compare the quality and speed and filament waste to the A1, and at the end I will give my few cents about what I like and what I don't like about this machine. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss any future videos. Let's start with the unboxing. I started with placing the box with the printer on the table. There were some damages on the side of the box, like it was kicked or something, but luckily the padding inside was thick enough to not damage anything. After opening the box, there was a manual on top. Just like with the other printers, first thing I had to do was to take out the whole thing out of the box. This was a bit tricky and I needed some help from my wife. But once the machine was out, the rest of the process was pretty straightforward. I got rid of the packing materials and the plastic covering the machine and took out the boxes that were inside of it. And inside of the printer there were a few boxes, one with filaments, one with tooling and accessories, and one with the printing heads. Once I had the printer unpacked, I took it to my office. As you can see, since then I did a little bit of remodeling and now all three printers are on the table. But when I was setting up the U1, I still had my PC on the table, so I could only fit one printer back then. So first I had to remove the P1S and clean a bit. After placing the U1 on the table, I was surprised that it doesn't take that much space. It is still bigger than P1S, but not as big as I expected. To set up the Snapmaker U1, I followed the steps in the manual that came with it. I started with taking out all the foam and all the securing tape from the inside of the machine. Then I used the Allen key that came with the printer and took out the screws holding the bed. I have to say that this Allen key was terrible to use. I managed to deal with it for some time, but then I swapped it for one of the ones that came with my Bambolab printers, which was way better. Next step was to attach these filament motors on the sides of the printer. I took out the tape holding the cable, plugged the cable into the motor and pushed the whole thing into place. Then did the same thing on the other side. Next I installed the PTFE tubes going from these motors to the back of the printer. I didn't know it yet then, but I made a mistake here. I'll come back to it later. I inserted the holders for the spools on the sides and installed the poop bucket inside of the machine that is used when the printer changes filaments. Then it was time to install the printing heads, so the main selling point of the Snapmaker U1. The manual pointed out that it's important to have these latches at the back of the heads in correct position when placing them on the metal rods. This one tool head that goes to the left is a bit different than the others. It also has this latch in a different position, so I had to watch out when docking them in their slots. When I was doing that, I also took a look at the print head itself. Here you can see what it has inside. But in general, installing the printing heads was easy. I just had to remember about the latch position, then slide it on the metal rod, and then the magnets just docked it into position. Once all of the heads were in place, it was time to install the PTFE tube holders with the USB-C cables that connect each of the heads to the printer. The cables here get secured by two screws on each side, but you have to watch out here. Funny enough, Snapmaker warned about this step in an email they sent. It also clearly states in the manual, but I still managed to mess it up. These cables have the part that holds them in place made of this kind of rubber. And because of that, if you tighten the screw too much, it might pop off the cable out of the socket. I only noticed that I messed up one of the cables when I was powering on the machine, as an error popped up saying that one of the cables to the heads is disconnected. But it was a quick fix, but still a little bit annoying in my opinion, because I think these should be made out of more sturdy material so that you cannot just screw it too tightly. I agree it was my mistake not to read the manual properly, but still I think there could be an improvement here. I also installed the other PDF tubes that go to the heads and clipped them together with the USB-C cables with the clips that came with the printer. At this point the assembly was done. Now I had to power on the machine and let it calibrate itself. The calibration took quite some time as it was performing flow rate calibration per head, doing precise bed leveling, and even there was a step where it told me to clean the nozzles with the metal brush that came with the printer. It also did this tool offset calibration with a dedicated ring that is hidden underneath the print plate. When the calibration was done, I installed the filament that came with the printer and started printing. Here's the point where the mistake with the PTFE tubes that I mentioned before came to haunt me. During the calibration of the heads, one of them were giving me an error message coming from the motors that push the filament in. I thought that maybe the filament is bent or too tight or something like that, or maybe it's stuck in the tube and that is why it doesn't end up in the extruder, but the issue ended up being way simpler. For some reason I mismatched the PTFE tubes for two of the slots at the back of the printer, and it took me quite a while to figure it out. So I see the filament in the PTF2 going into the head, but it was going to a head that was parked, not the one that was calibrated, and for some reason it took me few minutes to figure out that hey, this filament is going to the wrong head. But when I figured it out finally, I fixed this and then the machine just continued its calibration. First I printed the Dragon model that the printer comes with. Seeing the tool changer in action was mesmerizing. Each color change took only around 15 seconds. Compared to my A1 combo, this was staggering, as over there it takes like minutes to change a color. The print of this dragon took around 3 hours, which is super impressive. Not only it was fast, but created almost no waste, and also it turned out great. I think the quality of the print partially comes from the fact that it was printed with the Snapmaker filaments. Since I received the machine, I tried to print as many multicolor prints as I could on it, and here you can see some of the multicolor models that came out of the U1. Most of them are Christmas themed because I received the printer in December and because I was doing the 24 days of Christmas 3D printing at that time. When it comes to quality of the prints, I think that Bambulab has better profiles not only for their filaments but also for other brands. And Snapmaker I think still needs a bit tuning for other filaments than theirs. When printing with Snapmaker PLA, the prints came out great, but for example when I used the Bambulab matte PLA, I saw some imperfections and issues. Here you can see some of the issues I saw on the models I printed on the Snapmaker U1. Some of them might have been caused by the bed adhesion issues, but some of them, like this one, looks like it's something with the print profiles. I did play with some settings when it comes to filaments and managed to get a good print, but I think it just needs a bit of more tuning. I wanted to compare the speed of the print, the waste of the filament, and also the quality with my Bambulab A1 because this is the only one I can actually compare the multicolor 3D printing to. So I took this great model of a gingerbread dragon and slapped it on both printers and started printing. The U1 of course was faster and took around 10 hours to print, where A1 took around 17. The print quality on these dragons on both of the printers was amazing, even though the U1 was using the Bambulab filaments. When it comes to filament waste, it's crazy how little the U1 generated compared to the A1. Basically, Snapmaker generated only few poops when it was loading the colors into the print heads, compared to this full bucket of poops on the A1. When you look at it side by side, it's crazy how much filament is wasted during these multicolor prints on the A1. Both of them of course had also the purge/prime towers, but they were almost the same on both. I also have other models that I compared on both of the printers. I printed these small Grinches and small Santas that I used in the tic-tac-toe game, but for this comparison I did it a bit differently. So the Santa was printed on the U1 using only the Snapmaker filaments, and the Grinch was printed on the A1 using only Bambulab filaments. Snapmaker U1 of course was faster and took around 4 hours, where the Grinches on the A1 took around 10. And again, the difference in the filament waste is just crazy. Even these small models, when printing and changing filaments, create a full bucket of waste. Now, there were some more issues that I encountered while using the Snapmaker U1, but they were mainly related to the slicer. To be precise, I had the issues with sending the files to the printer. The slicer kept complaining that the printer was offline, even though it clearly wasn't. You could clearly see on the printer that it is connected to the Wi-Fi. Also, my PC was connected to the Wi-Fi. Also, you could see that the printer is online, but for some reason the slicer was just giving me issues. And only when I try and retried, it eventually sent the prints over and started printing. I don't understand where this issue is coming from. It still pops up from time to time. I use my Bamboo Labs on the same Wi-Fi and I had never had any issues with them when it comes to sending prints. So I'm not sure where exactly the issue is, but I think it is in the slicer. Unless there are some settings in my Wi-Fi that I need to change, but I don't know why would that be the case. One of the other issues that I encountered was that the slicer, for some reason, when I changed the filament type to matte, changed the bed temperature to 0 degrees. I don't get how and I don't get why, but it did happen, and I only noticed it when I had some issues with printing the first layer of one of the models. Other issue I had, but only happened once, was that I couldn't log in on my slicer to the Snapmaker account. Whenever I tried, it was just showing this window that immediately closed off, and even after restarting the PC completely, the issue was still there. It went away eventually for some reason, somehow, I don't know, but it seems like the Snapmaker slicer is still not fully polished and needs some fixing. Funny enough, anytime I tried to record that I cannot send the prints, before I started recording the issue just went away, and when I started recording I pressed the button and then boop, the print gets sent. So that was another annoying part as well, because I kept having the issue with sending the prints, and whenever I try to prove that I have this issue by recording it, suddenly the issue is gone. So either it's a problem with connecting with the printer that comes from the printer, or it's in general in the system of Snapmaker. Maybe if it is the slicer issue, there will be some updates that will soon get rid of that, or maybe this is an issue that only I see. I don't know, I have not researched it. But I think in general the slicer needs a little bit of polishing. Some other issue I had with the slicer as well is when I was trying to download from MakerWorld, for example, a FreeMF file. It gave me errors in the G-code about some raft expansion, that the setting isn't correct and I should change it, but I couldn't find the settings anywhere. So rather than trying to fix it, I was just uploading the objects separately to a new FreeMF file and then printing the models. This was probably not the best solution because all the settings saved within that FreeMF file were gone and I had to set them up manually. But that was the workaround I came up with at the moment. When it comes to the quality of the machine itself, it's not perfect. The whole case is made of plastic that bends when you take the spools off. The holders on the side, for example, this whole side moves. The other thing is that the number of the motors, for example, and the spool holders are just stickers, which really caught me by surprise, because when I was installing the filament motors on the side, I thought that this was just a protective foil. So I took it off and the numbers came off with it. So I took them off completely because they just look bad. But I left the number stickers on the spool holders just to know which one is which one is connected to which head. Luckily, there are also numbers embossed in the printer next to each of the heads. But to me, using stickers for stuff like that is really cheap. As I said, the printer is not perfect, but it does print phenomenally in multicolor, at least for the price I paid for it. Hopefully with some 3D printed mods that are already starting to appear online, some updates to the slicer and maybe to the firmware, this printer can get even better. I will be actually looking to print some of the mods for this printer, so if you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, as a last, I wanted to talk about what I do like and what I don't like about this printer. And let's start with the things I don't like. One thing I do not like in this printer is how little space there is inside, in between the print plate and the sides of the printer. When I take out the prints, I really have to watch out not to scratch the sides with the print plate. There is too little space, not only inside, but also in the entrance where the doors are. I find it really annoying. Maybe it's just a nitpick, but to me it seems like the other printers, well, of course A1 has a lot of space because it's open, but P1S has more space when taking out the print plate. Maybe that's the 1.5 centimeters that the print plate on the U1 is bigger than the Bambus. I don't know. It is annoying though. Another thing that is probably a minor issue, but I do not like about the U1 is that the printing head is quite high, and when you're trying to film any prints, it gets annoying. You can only do it from the top, which is not a perfect angle, or you have to stick your camera or your phone really from the front inside of the chamber to capture what you're printing. Probably if the door was a little bit taller, this wouldn't be that much of an issue, but as it is now, it is a bit annoying to me. Next thing I don't like is that the printer is not covered from the top. I know it's caused because of the tool changers and the PTFE tubes that go from the top, but either way, since it's not closed, not only it's loud, but also you cannot print all of the materials like ABS or stuff that requires a proper temperature inside. I know that Snapmaker made this top cover that you can purchase, but it's gonna be available only in March or somewhere. And also, to be honest, it doesn't look that nice. There are some mods already online, which maybe I will try, but as it is now, it is one of the annoying points that I see. Another annoying thing that I find is that you can only print 4 colors at a time. I know that for most of the prints, 4 colors is enough, and also you can do this hacking a little bit where you can pause the print and change the color mid-print to have even more colors printed than 4, but the lack of option of adding later more colors to the printer, it is a point that I don't like. The last thing I don't like about the U1, and maybe it's also a nitpick, is that the spool holders are on the side of the printer. Not only they limit the space on the sides of the printer because you have to reach out, you have to have space to take the filament spool off, but also they are not covered. Probably there will be at some point some option that you can cover them, but that will probably only add complexity. In order to change the filament, if there would be some kind of cover, probably you would need to take it off first and only then can reach out, because I don't see this being some kind of opening and closing system. There will be probably mods that people will make to have some kind of covers, and as there is an option for mounting something, but I don't see it being perfect. Now for the good things, what I do like about this printer, because I do like the printer more than the nitpicks or the cons that I just listed. First thing is the speed of the multicolor 3D printing. I only have my A1 combo to compare with, so I cannot really compare it to the new Bambu Lab H2C or the Prusa XL or the new Prusa Bondtech collaboration that will come out next year. But just comparing to the A1, this one is way faster. It's just amazing how fast it is. It's probably one of the fastest multicolor printing at the moment for this price, because there's no way a printer with AMS or any other multi-material system that uses only one nozzle can compare to the speed of the Snapmaker U1. Second thing I like is how the printer looks. Even though it is made of plastic, the overall design I really dig. Also the screen and the UI on the printer, I really like it. It's fast, it's smooth, and you can do a lot of stuff directly from the screen. Compared, for example, to the P1S that has terrible screen that I basically do nothing with, this one is amazing. Next thing I really like is how much less filament is being wasted. Look at this bucket inside of the U1. This is how much filament waste I created since I got the printer. It's crazy how little filament is wasted when you print multicolor on the Snapmaker U1. The next thing I really like are these motors that pull the filament into the heads. It is really similar to the AMS light on my A1, but on the AMS light you first have to push that button to put the filament in, and it's upside down and always giving me issues. Here you just push it in and it just goes. It's super cool. I know it doesn't retract on your own, but that's not a big problem for me. I really like this solution here. The last thing I do really like on the Snapmaker U1 is that the print volume is a bit bigger than the Bambus. I don't know if they did it on purpose just to stick it to Bambu that hey, we have a bigger print plate, but this few centimeters in each of the direction is really beneficial, at least in my opinion. Overall, I'm really happy with the Snapmaker U1. I think it's a great machine. at least for the price. It's great in multicolor 3D printing. It's also great in printing single color because I used it for that as well. And I hope it's gonna stay reliable and printing many models for me for a long time. But that would be it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. If you also have the Snapmaker you want, please share in the comments if you're happy with it and also what do you like about it. If you don't have the Snapmaker you want, let me down in the comments if you want to get one. But that's it from me for now. Thanks for watching and see you next time.